friends, it's Amanda. I wanted to start a series of kitchen staples that I actually make at home from scratch as a suburban mom. So I don't have my own cows, I don't have my own chickens, I don't live on a homestead. So a lot of the ingredients and things that I use are what I can get from the grocery store. So I try to use the best quality ingredients that I can find there to elevate them and make things from scratch in my own kitchen. A kitchen staple we're going to go over today is peanut butter. So I'm going to show you how I make peanut butter just straight from peanuts. So as long as you have peanuts and an oven and a blender or a food processor, you can make peanut butter. I will preface this that it will not be the same consistency as something like Skippy or Jif, and that's because we don't have any additives or preservatives in it. Like I said, we are just using peanuts. So I really like this. One, it's cheaper. It's less than $3 for this whole thing, and we will get almost 2 cups full of peanut butter. So this is a great option. Also, if you've ever gotten the natural peanut butters at the store, you know those aren't freshly ground. They've been sitting there for ages, and they usually have that layer of like oil and peanuts because they separate. So when you make it at home, because it's so fresh, you don't really have to deal with that. So this is a no stir, all natural peanut butter. So let's get started.
To start making peanut butter, we are going to dump this whole jar of unsalted peanuts onto a baking sheet and bake for 5 minutes at 350 degrees. This will warm up the peanuts and soften them before we throw them in the blender. So I used a 16-ounce jar of peanuts, and this will get about 2 cups of peanut butter. When the 5 minutes are up, we will pull them out of the oven and let them cool slightly before we start to handle them. Once they're cooled enough where we can use some oven mitts to lift up this, I'm using a silicone mat, but you can use parchment paper as well, and dump them into your blender and turn on your blender to a low speed and start to press some of the peanuts down as they start to climb the sides of the blender. As the peanuts start to change from a powder to more of a paste, this is when you'll want to turn up your blender to the maximum speed. So my blender instructions told me that I could make peanut butter in a minute, and this is definitely not true. It will not be the right texture at all. So to get a rich and smooth texture, I let my blender run for about 5 minutes and until it has reached my perfect consistency. So if you're using a food processor, this process may take a little longer. Peanut butter is one of the first kitchen staples that I stopped buying at the grocery store and started to make at home. For one, I literally love peanut butter. Like, I could eat it by the spoonfuls. So I wanted to find a better option than what was being offered at the grocery stores and for a much more affordable price. And two, it really is so quick once you learn how to do it. Like, I can whip this up in about 15 minutes. So I've been making this peanut butter basically for nearly 4 years now. I started when I was pregnant with our oldest daughter and really haven't looked back. As soon as the peanut butter has reached your desired consistency, pour it into a glass container. I just use a mason jar here and seal shut after it's cooled to about room temperature. Just be mindful that the peanut butter will be kind of hot from the oven and the blending. You can store this peanut butter in your pantry for weeks. Although, quite honestly, ours doesn't usually last that long before it is eaten all up. I will say there's nothing wrong with buying store-bought peanut butter, even if it's the ones with the additives and preservatives. I'll be honest, I love Skippy peanut butter. I think it actually has a better taste than the freshly ground peanut butter, but that's because they throw stuff in it to make it that way. However, I have noticed there is a difference in the way it actually affects my body after switching. I notice that if I have any heavily processed peanut butters with additives in it, I get this inflammation or heaviness in my lower abdomen. And ever since switching to freshly ground peanut butter, I definitely don't have that. So if you experience any of those same symptoms, I would definitely recommend giving this a try and see if it makes a difference for you. The other thing I love about being able to make my own peanut butter is the versatility and creativity you can have with this. So I have done it where I've added honey and cinnamon to my peanut butter. I've also used this same process to make almond butter using almonds, and I've even tried cashew butter, although I haven't perfected that recipe quite yet. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I make peanut butter from scratch, just as a regular suburban mom trying to figure it all out. Check out the next video in this series where I show you another kitchen staple that I make at home from scratch.